Welcome to another episode of the No Ceilings Podcast. I'm Tyler Metcalf, joined as always by Tyler Rucker. Rucker, 1 week away. How are we feeling?
I'm ready. Two words I've never meant more in my life. I'm ready. I'm as exhausted as I'll ever be. Everyone on YouTube can probably tell. Just been staring at screen, working on my last mega project for the timelines and doing a very, very big graphic project I'm excited to release next week for No Ceilings. But I've watched all the film. I've done all of the big board. I've done everything, Metcalf. I'm ready to rock. It is time. It's the time of the year where I'm like, okay, enough's enough. Stop looking for stuff to do. I'm ready to rock. So we got 7 days. Everyone will be listening to this. We got 6 days. Unbelievable. I can't believe it's here. How are we holding up? How are you doing?
Oh, it's rumor season. It's smoke screen
Yes.
season. It's leak season. Just some really magical stuff floating around. Kobe Buffkin not making it out of the lottery. Pods is rising. Gigi is falling. Lively is rising. Koulibaly is rising. Everyone's rising. It's incredible. Has anything kind of caught your eye before we get into the topics and whatnot? Have any of the leaks or rumors or reports or anything caught your eye or anything feels real to you?
It's fun right now because it's just madness. I feel like it's even turned up a little bit more chaotic than normal years. I've been trying to talk to some people around the league to kind of get a buzz for some stuff. I've heard some interesting things. Some execs I could tell are like very stressed and ready to focus. So they're like, hey, let's talk after the draft. And I'm like, I get it. Thanks. Appreciate the time. So the Gigi Jackson one, it is notable. It's very interesting. Bryce Sensabaugh, I think, is in the same conversation. And there's a lot of people out there that, I think Vicini and Cavoni have posted mock drafts recently with those guys going a little bit lower, and people have been like, what's going on? Why? And it's like, folks, intel. You have to remember intel. This is not just going off tape this time of the year. There's medicals, there's intel, there's feedback, there's workouts. That's what we always say. The pre-draft process can completely swing the momentum of your stock. And I think we're seeing that with Gigi right now. He's trending in the wrong direction. I'm still hoping he ends up going to a great place. But the Buffkin one, came out kind of like an hour before we recorded. So it was interesting. I think me and you were kind of giving air fives across the nation. And I'm excited to see where he goes. But now my mind's racing and trying to connect the dots. But what about you? Anyone that stands out to you?
No, just pretty much the similar ones that you were getting at. The Gigi and Bryce ones, it seems to be kind of coming out from a bunch of different angles, which is always concerning. You never like to hear that. Bryce just got cleared recently for team workouts, so he did have that surgery to clean things up on his knee. So, hopefully that goes well and someone gets an absolute steal because he's an incredible shooter. Hopefully that surgery ends up in the long run kind of bringing a bit more bounce back to his game, and that athleticism kind of takes a step in the right direction. But whenever you have a rookie getting surgery at this time of the year, never ideal. But we want to be optimistic. So I want to believe that, Lively's going lottery, that Buffkin's going lottery, that Kaysen's going top 10, that all of these guys are going lottery, but someone's going to fall, and it'll be fascinating who does. But on today's episode, we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to give out 3 of our hottest takes for specifically draft night. A mild one, a medium one, and a scorching hot one. We'll then move into updating and finalizing the green room and wrap everything up with a mailbag at the end of the show. We got some awesome questions. Thank you for everyone that submitted them. If we don't get to any or missed any, apologies, but we'll do our best to get to all of them. And in case if you're new to the show or haven't had a chance to go get it yet, please go check out our draft guide over at noceilingsnba.com. Would mean the world to us if you could purchase it. A lot of work and love went into it. It's something we're all really proud of, and the feedback on it and support so far has been incredible. So all of you who have gotten it, thank you so much. I hope you're all enjoying it. From the sounds of things, you are, and it just means the world to us that you're continuing to support us in the ways that you can. But before we dive into our hot takes, let's take our first break. Okay, Rucker, let's have a little bit of fun, loosen things up a little bit. Pure speculation, no reporting here. This is just, putting pieces together from what all of you have seen in the Twitter sphere, what we would like to happen. Wild speculation. Do you want to go first, or would you like me to?
I would like you to lead things off because I feel like we're going to have some similarities. So I
Okay.
might have to pivot on the run, which, everybody knows, big time players make big time plays. So go ahead, Mr. Metcalf, start us off with hot take season.
All right. Well, this is a pretty easy transition from what we just finished talking about. And I just want for the record, I did have this down in my notes before the news of Buffkin going lottery was released, and there were very specific teams that Jonathan Gavoni mentioned in that little clip. But my mild take is that Kobe Buffkin is going number 12 overall to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
It's an interesting one, definitely because of their backcourt and all the horses they've got in the stables already. But I also think OKC's still in a position where it is keep adding dogs. Just keep getting guys that can absolutely help your team become a bit of a wagon. And if Buffkin ended up going there, I would absolutely love that. Now they're going to have to figure out what the heck they're going to do. But I think last year, they're playing J-Dub a little bit on the wing, a little bit at the 3. So maybe that's what you're thinking is like, okay, we can have like a solid rotation of versatility with all these guys. And Presti's not going to jump, Presti will take the best player available. He's not afraid of that. He'll figure it all out down the road. And obviously, they got Trey Mann there. Maybe that experiment is over with or needs to kind of go in a different direction. It's really fascinating now. I feel like Buffkin was the guy that me and you have been talking about throughout the year of kind of like, he's going to be this riser. He's going to get all this attention because he's got the size. He's got the versatility on both sides of the ball. He's got the numbers to back it up. He's got the efficiency to back it up. He checks a lot of boxes that front offices are going to be very intrigued with. And it's been fascinating to kind of, everyone you talk to loves him in the league. Like everyone's very high on him, very intrigued. So I'm not surprised by the report. I like your hot take because I think we're trending that way. And yes, I will back you up. You've been having this one. You're like, he's going to go lottery. You texted me that a while ago. I was like, I think you're right. So it's a good one.
And just for the sake of clarity, I have Buffkin at 7 on my board. So I personally don't think it's that hot, but you see him in the 20s a lot of places, in the mid to late teens a lot of places. And the fact that Gavoni came out and put Buffkin connected to a couple of very specific teams in the top 14 picks and saying he would be surprised if he made it past all 3 of these, I think there's a little bit of weight to that. And I think Buffkin's talent going in the lottery isn't necessarily the hot take, but that Buffkin specifically going to OKC is, given their kind of positional overlap, and there might be a log jam in the backcourt. But I think something that they've shown that they really value year over year is positional size and positional versatility. And I think Buffkin has both of those with his ability to run a 2-man game, his passing, his off ball movement, the shooting, the defense. I think there are some really fascinating lineups that they could throw out there with him, SGA, J Dub, Chet, Josh Giddey. I think there's a lot of really fun, high IQ ball movement stuff that they could really implement going forward. And, Kobe was working out with SGA just the other week. So, just picking up the breadcrumbs.
And two things I want to also mention. It's important for everyone that hasn't seen the Gavoni clip. Like he's mentioned that Buffkin their camp has been very selective with where he's gone to work out. And everyone's trying to have that late rush of getting him in or trying to focus on kind of evaluating him, or whatever you want to phrase it. So that usually tells something that like the buzz is high, the buzz is cooking. So now everyone in that range where he might be is like, okay, we need to get our hands on this guy to see him. But I think also Buffkin's probably his camp's trying to steer him to a place where he's probably got a lane to get early playing time. I think Washington's a legit contender for him. It makes a lot of sense. Now, a lot of people might be like, this is early. And I'm like, I don't think it is, because consider where Washington is. if they trade Beal, you add Buffkin, and you're all in on Buffkin. Now you got your guard. Johnny Davis, year 2, wherever everyone wants to think it's year 2, this is where he could take that step and be a sophomore leap. I'm still very high on him.
Yep.
Avdia, they got pieces. So now that's your rebuild. You find your point guard, you go to war, you figure out what you got moving forward. New front office makes a lot of sense. Same story with Utah. I think he makes a ton of sense at Utah. So he's deserved this hype. And the biggest thing, I've said it on other episodes, he measured in at 6'4.5" barefoot. We thought he was 6'4", so he's probably flirting with 6'6". So we're probably getting this combo guard with great size, basketball IQ, versatility. I mean, it's not shocking. It really isn't surprising me that he's getting this attention because NBA teams are probably foaming at the mouth. So that's all I got to say. Okay. Mild. Where am I starting mild? Okay, I'm going to go mild with this one. I'm going to do it because I'm going to give some guys some belief. Nick Smith and Dariq Whitehead will still go within the top 25 picks.
Oh, 25? Come on, that's lame. Be bolder.
No, you wanted mild. That's my mild, okay? Some people think Dariq might go later because of the injury and like he might not be ready for or he's going to be ready for training camp. Nick Smith just had a nightmare season. I'm still buying it. So there's my mild take. I'm buying the upside with both of them. I'm buying the NBA teams are going to go back and talk about the high school tape and say these guys were banged up. So there you go. That's my mild one.
I was hoping for like top 15, at least give me top 20.
No.
Oh my!
You want mild?
Okay.
Come on, mild.
No, I like that. Nick Smith has been getting a lot of lottery buzz lately. I still think that's really, really rich, but there are a lot of fans. Same with Dariq coming out of high school. He was one of the number one guys that all of us two included, were excited about coming into the year. And both these guys just had their seasons derailed by injuries. And it was awful. I don't think these seasons could have gone any worse for these two guys. There's a lot of, raw talent there. Someone's going to take a swing on them. I'm really excited to see who. I hope it works out for him because just the underlying talent that's there, there are a couple really, really good players just waiting to be unlocked.
It's been fascinating to ask around about the lotto buzz because you feel like everyone's like, I understand it. I get it. It's just been weird this time of the year to ask around about some players because I feel like you get either aggressive opposites of what the public's thinking. Like I've been shocked by some because I'm like, oh, a lot of people in the draft space are high on them. And then you ask around the league and some guys are like, I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. Like, and I've heard that about a lot of guys. So it's going to be really interesting. That's why I think we could be in for a wild night with trades. I think teams are going to try to come up to ranges. Like we've already, I think it was Vicini who reported in his mock that like teams like Phoenix, Milwaukee, they're trying to come back up to get into the action because of the depth of this class. Like we've talked about it on pods before, Metcalf. We've been saying it all year. You get to around 25 to 40, there is a ocean of value to attack. So I think some teams are going to be aggressive with that. I know I saw even the Boston Celtics are trying to kind of be active in trade talks to potentially move up. So, when it comes to Nick Smith and Dariq, maybe some of those teams are seeing potential value when it comes to getting a guy that should not be going this late. But they were like, hey, let's get him with our team. Let's stress patience. Let's get him healthy. If everything checks out, we're buying. So I'm still thinking Dariq and Nick are going to – I'm hoping we look on draft night and we're pumped about where they ended up. And obviously it sucks because I thought they're going to be top 7 picks in the beginning of the year. And right now I'm like, hey, they might end up in a better spot. It's tough to admit they might end up in a better situation than they would have before.
So just completely ignoring, draft pick spot, but like looking at what are some of your like favorite landings for both of them.
Good, Metcalf.
So like I kind of like the idea of Dariq going to Sacramento.
That's
I
a good.
know.
I like that. I like him going there. Go
And
ahead.
then I like Nick Smith in San Antonio a lot too. Obviously not at one, but just putting him with an organization and on a team, I I I think that'd be a fun fit if for some reason they found a way to trade into the late teens or whatever, but just in a vacuum.
I think 20 to 30 is going to be a murderer's row of trade activity.
Yeah.
Now, this is just me connecting dots. I'm not, I've read stuff online, I've heard stuff, but like it's just a gauntlet of teams that have multiple picks in that range. And teams that are contending are going to want to get up in there. And I think that's where it could get really interesting for guys like Dariq Whitehead, because like Brooklyn's got back-to-back picks. I could see Brooklyn either trying to trade up with those or someone comes back. Portland's there at 23 with whatever happens at 3. I know me and you got a piece kind of previewing the Portland Trailblazers.
Mhm.
I love that one. It was really exciting to write about it. And I said, I wonder if 23 could be Portland trying to almost, ring the dinner bell to a team of like, give us a veteran and you can get back in the first round. We'll make Dame happy. We'll add another piece of the puzzle. So those are all teams that could probably, someone could go get Dariq if he's on the board still. I think Nick Smith's still going to go top 20.
I like him in New Orleans too.
I do
Just
too.
learning from CJ, being able to play alongside a guy like Dyson Daniels. I just think that'd be a kind of a nice spot for him to take it
Yeah.
slow.
Sorry, I'm just too caught up and pumped up on stuff. But Dariq going to Memphis, Dariq going to Sacramento, whatever happens with Portland, I somehow think it would be a really interesting roll of the dice for Portland if they could get Dariq. I love Rockets fans. I can't say anyone to go to Houston. I don't think he's going to be on the board when Utah picks at 28. So I'm trying to think of other spots. If we're going up, I don't know about Atlanta. Atlanta seems a little rich for me, but I wonder if Atlanta could move back. That's the team pissing me off these days. Is I wonder if Atlanta could move back, get another pick. Maybe they talk to the Nets. I just think there's going to be some crazy movement. So there's some teams, Metcalf. I'm sorry. I'm hyped up. I got it. My wind. We're back.
Okay. Let's move on to my medium one.
Yeah.
So, a good amount of spice. Some people won't be able to handle it. Others will think it's, just not enough.
Where are you going with this?
All right. I'm going to say none of Gigi, City, or Bryce Sensabaugh go in the first round, and Julian Phillips goes over all 3.
Okay, so you're saying Gigi, City Sissoko, and Bryce Sensabaugh all in the second round, and Julian Phillips goes ahead of them.
Yes.
That's a good medium one. And I can see that all happening, which is wild.
Right.
What we shifted from in a month. Like, that's how fast this happens, folks. Like, okay, well, one of my takes, I'll throw it off the board, was I said Gigi's going to fall to the second. Okay, where do we want to start here? There's a lot.
Yeah, so just first off, I'm not saying that's right. I have all 4 of these guys in the first round. I would gladly spend a first round pick on all of them.
Yes.
But I'm not all NBA teams, obviously. That's why I'm doing this podcast with all of you. I think all 4 of those guys are first round talents, but I don't have all of the intel. And when multiple major outlets continue to leak stuff and continue to drop all 3 of them pretty steadily over the last 2 months or so, it's concerning. And there's a reason why they do that. So I'm not saying it will happen. I'm not saying it should happen, but I think that the chance of it happening is continuing to rise by the day.
City's the tough one because I really like his game.
I think there's a really wide range of views with him.
That's where I think you're spot on. And there's a lot of diehard City Sissoko backers out there in the draft space. I love City. I really do think he could be a fantastic value. But that's a guy that you ask, you get a wide range of feedback, and it's like, oh boy, that's tough because all it takes is, one team might love him, but then they're on the clock and he's third on their board. So then it's like, oh, the team that loved him is not going to get him. So
Right.
it's going to be just kind of fit. Shocker. That's what the draft is. Gigi, rooting for the kid. I'm really rooting for the kid. It's been a nightmare of a process. Everything you've heard, I've made it a point to ask because of everything I've read online, and everything I've read for the most part is a polite version of what I've gotten feedback on. So it's tough. It really is. And then Sensible is, I think, medical stuff. And I'm connecting dots from what I've heard. He had a knee injury in high school, knee injury in college. I think it's just kind of one of those things. So it's tough. And I think if he was full speed working out and doing all these workouts, he probably would have been a bucket getting machine, but it sounds like he's been kind of dealing with that. So it's tough. We saw guys like a Dembona who returned because he couldn't work out because he was injured. So I don't know. I think you're spot on there, Metcalf. And then Phillips makes a lot of sense because I think he's the range in which you're saying we shouldn't have gotten this guy at this point. Like, I think he should have had a better year. I think it was a tough fit with him at Tennessee, and I think there's a lot of talent that's untapped. What else you got? Or do you have thoughts? Sorry, I'm.
That's it. No, I think there's so much more to Phillips' game. I can't get the idea of Memphis taking him at 25 out of my head.
That one makes a lot of sense. He also makes sense to Sacramento. Shout out Nick. I know Nick would love that. He makes a ton of sense there.
Absolutely. Okay, what do you got for medium?
Medium. Leonard Miller goes in the top 20.
No, that's not medium.
Give me a break.
No,
why do you hate
be a little bolder about this? This is, come on.
No, I am going bold. I am going bold off my takes. I off of my board, I'm going bold right there. So I have a feeling Leonard Miller is going top 20.
All right, to who?
No clue.
Oh my God.
We've had this discussion multiple times. I have zero idea where he's going to go, but I think it's going to happen. I mean, it's very weird. I don't know. So there you go. What other spice do you want? I don't know what else to give you.
Give me top 10.
Okay, I'll give you a.
I'll compromise for lottery.
Okay, I'll give you a part 2. So here's another one. Here's a part 2.
Or at least give me a team.
No, I can't.
The
problem is I keep
having fun.
I'm on the ledge.
This is our last podcast.
No, I know. Gosh, it hurts.
God,
to
loosen
say
up
that.
a little bit. Have some fun.
Okay, here you go. I got a replacement. Bilal Coulibaly goes out of the lottery.
I love it.
Now, hottest guy in the draft space. I didn't want to say it, but Metcalf brought it out of me. He's been the hottest guy in the draft space. Everyone wants to talk about Coulibaly. All the cool kids are doing it. Another guy everyone I ask about in the NBA is a lot of kind of backfire. Not a lot of like some people are like, I don't know if I'm buying the promise. And I was like, okay, interesting. I had someone like kind of be like, I think he's a project. Another one kind of confirmed that. Someone was like, I think he got a lot of buzz because playing with Victor. I love Coulibaly. I will not be shocked if he goes in the lottery because I think there's so much upside. And that's where you get late lottery. You're getting into that point of pre-draft, if we want to say it that way, of this guy played another year and came into the draft. He's probably going top 10. So I'm just on the point of thinking like the league is thinking of teams are going to see him as more of a project than he is. Fantastic player. Have him in my top 20. I really like him at a certain point of the draft. I think he's fantastic value and upside. I just don't know if I'm buying top 10 or lottery. So there you go. There's my medium one. Everyone can come
Much
at
better.
me and attack me. It's just that's I try to think as if I'm what the league likes, and it's just one of those things where I've studied that over the years of like tendencies the league likes to fantasize about. It's eye candy. And I think Koulibaly is the league is looking at like that's more of a project. He might not play meaningful minutes right away for us. So, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Nathan, I love you. I
Hypothetical.
love you, Nathan.
And this is nothing against Koulibaly. We like him. We
No,
think
I
he's really
love
good.
him.
Yeah,
But
I know.
it's just
But
at a range, I like him. I
right.
don't, I don't want to take him ninth.
Here's a hypothetical for you. You take him and City and swap them. Exact same production that they
Oh,
had.
City playing with Victor?
City goes with Victor. Bilal is on Ignite.
Gosh.
How does their stock change?
You know what? That one actually might get interesting because I think Bilal could have he would have had more run, more consistent minutes. That's a tough one because also we're talking about exposure.
Mm-hmm.
So how many of us were watching all the G League Ignite games this year? I'm not trying to be a jerk. Yeah, obviously, like diehards are the sickos watching, the sickos listening.
Yeah.
We love you. You guys were doing it, but there's also fans that weren't navigating to try to find those games. Mm-hmm. The NBA was pumping the crap out of those Victor games, so scouts were going to see Victor. They would have seen City. I don't know, and we're also not talking about Koulibaly. He's got fantastic measurables. He's thin. That body is not matured yet. So he needs some time for that frame to fill out. And I believe it's going to, but it's just going to be a little bit of adjustment, It's the Usman Zhang from last year, and everyone's going to roll their eyes right now. But it's like, no, you need to think long-term with these guys. So is there a team in the lottery that's saying, we'll wait 3 years? We'll wait 2 years to see what he's got?
And that's where I think that's why I don't think he's going to Oklahoma City, because I don't think they're going to take another multi-year project guy like they did with Jang.
It would just be interesting if they doubled down on projects.
Yeah,
and I don't mean projects as a negative, but
no.
Every team, and the reason why it makes sense is because they might say we're the team that can do it. Every team in the lottery does not want to be picking in the lottery next year.
Yeah.
So if you're taking Koulibaly in the lottery, you're trying to say to yourself, we believe he can play right now. Because one, job security. Like if you take him and he can't play as a rookie, you better have some security. It's just
I do think he is one of those guys where if you really swing on him like top 10, that could be a decision. I'm not saying it will or that he's going to be awful. But I think when you look at the other guys who kind of get mentioned in that range, I think Bilal would land further on the spectrum of guy who could potentially get you fired if he doesn't hit. Whereas if you swing and miss on a Thompson twin, okay, well, there are, 29 other teams who in that spot will have done the same thing. If you swing and miss on Derek Lively or Cason Wallace or, Anthony Black or something like that, there's a little more kind of assuredness or security that goes with those, whereas Bilal is, I think, still more of a wild card, whereas or at least around the league, whereas draft Twitter's all in on him, and there are good reasons for it. I'm not saying they're undeserved reasons, but it's risky. It's really risky in a certain range, and then once you get out of that range, it becomes incredibly high value.
Let's before one last thing. Before we pivot, let's play detective.
Okay.
Let's say the promise is legit. Give me the team you think it would be.
In the lottery?
Yes. My contenders for that promise is Orlando and Utah. And I don't think Danny's a promise guy. I just don't think Danny would be a promise guy. But it makes sense if Danny's trying to swing there with 3 picks or 3 roll of the dices. But I also think Danny would be a guy that tries to trade up with those 2 later picks. So I still think Anthony Black is probably Utah's guy if he's there somehow. Like they would love to get him there.
Ooh, I love the idea of Case in there.
Well, or him or Kaysen. I think that there, if they could get a guard there or Buffkin,
Sure.
and then later get pieces and talent. So that's why I'm saying, like, okay, so we're trying to figure out who the promise team is.
Or, let's say Utah takes Kaysen, just a name, at 9, and then uses 16 and 28 to trade up to 13 with Toronto and takes Bilal.
That's where I think you could get into that conversation. There's just a lot of teams where I'm like, does it make sense for the lottery promise?
I'm not sure it does.
OKC is the only
Toronto.
one that makes some sense, and Toronto maybe, but I
don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know what they're doing.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay.
Moving on to my scorching take, or no. Yeah, no, sorry.
Yeah, you're spicy.
Okay, so based on my rankings,
do we have spicy and scorching, or just scorching?
Just scorching.
Okay. I got nervous.
So based on my rankings, this isn't hot at all. But based on every single mock draft and rankings that I see, this would cause people to lose their mind. Julian Strawther goes top 20.
Why is he projected later? Did he come out and say like the Beatles aren't good and every front office guy is pissed off about that or something? Jokes aside, I don't get it.
Well, so all right, let's say you didn't know who Julian Strawther was. I'm just handing you a blank sheet of paper, and height 6'7", weight 205, spot up shooting 97th percentile, pick and roll ball handler 77th percentile, transition 84th percentile, off screen 77th percentile, all jumpers 92nd percentile, catch and shoot 93rd percentile, dribble jumpers 71st percentile. Would that be a guy that you would be interested in?
Yeah, his shot chart's like all red too.
Yeah.
His splits were 46, 40, 77. He had an effective field goal percentage of 56.8. What else do we need the kid to do? He rebounds. Why is it people are colder on him? I know people have been questioning his defense. It's not like he's going to get like...
No, he's 6'7", 205, 210.
But he's not like this, like play through. You're going to go target Julian Strawther.
No, because he has a side. Like,
he's going to figure it out.
Right.
I
don't get it. He's played at one of the best programs for played big minutes in a big role in multiple years at one of the biggest programs in the country. I still adore the idea of him with Golden State, him with Miami, him with the Lakers.
He'd be
with Atlanta.
He'd be the anti-Jordan Poole at Golden State. Sorry.
But like I'm just looking at every team outside the lottery. Which one would he not help immediately?
He's at the top of the list for your redraft. Goes much higher.
It feels like we did this with Desmond Bane.
Yes, very much so. Now Desmond Bane, everyone's going to argue, is built like a brick shit house. That is true.
Didn't he also have a negative wingspan?
Probably. Because that's where we start overthinking.
It's also 2 inches shorter, sure. He's 10 pounds heavier. There are other measurables.
He just got better. Strawther got better this year.
Good.
Got better. He's good. He could shoot the crap out of the ball. He extended his range from very deep. He rebounds, plays hard. I think he's a winning player. So I like that one.
All right. What's your scorching one?
I don't know
if you come in here with some more mild ass bullshit, I swear to God.
Okay, so everyone knows that this international class is thin.
Ooh, let's have some fun.
I'm gonna say, hold on, let me count. I gotta make sure I do this right. I'm gonna say there's 4 first-round picks from the international class.
Okay, so
James Nagy, Rain Rupert, Bilal Coulibaly, and Wembanyama. I think Wembanyama's got a chance to go in the first. Pause for laugh.
You think? I
No,
mean,
so I
what
think
about
that is a
injuries?
I think that is a little bit of a spicy one, Metcalf, because
Yeah,
the Rupert and Najee stock could be all over the place. I think the Rupert ones, especially, like if I was making
that's
a
gonna be
bet,
fascinating.
a prop bet, I would be dancing with the devil with Rupert. I think Najee's still going to go first. Someone actually called me out and was like, he's projected to go in the second round, and I was like, don't test me, don't try me right now.
But why didn't you just copy everyone else's mocks?
No, I don't do that. That's not what we do. So I like Najee a lot. I think NBA teams like Najee a lot. And then I am still convinced Rupert is going to have a lot of front office fans. So
Okay, so let's just run through a couple of our favorite or potential landing spots for those two guys. So let's start with Najee. I think he has a chance to go top 20.
I did too. That was what I was
Um,
dancing with.
where?
I just thought of one that I haven't thought of. Miami?
That'd be fun.
That'd be fun.
It'd be an
Give Bam
upgrade on the
muscle.
Cody Zeller minutes.
We'll give Bam some muscle. Just play him limited. He'd fit Heat culture. I sure as hell tell you that. If anyone tried to step up,
they won't have to worry. They won't
I'll
have to
rip you
worry
in
about
half.
the body fat measurements.
He'd play his ass off.
I like Miami a lot.
They'd tell him to run through a wall. He'd do it. Gosh, they're gonna do that. And look,
I like Brooklyn a lot. I like Miami.
I like Brooklyn
a lot.
a top.
I like Portland. I like Portland a lot.
I like Portland a lot. I like Sacramento.
So a little spoiler, but I mentioned this in the Portland piece that we did for Friday over at NoCeilingsNBA.com, 100% free. But let's say Portland let's say Scoot Henderson falls to Portland at 3.
And then they get Najee?
Then they keep pick 23 and pair Najee with Henderson, Sharp, and then, let's say they move Lillard and bring in all of those assets that would bring. Not a bad way to start a rebuild.
I think Schmitz would be looking very good for an extension. No, I mean, but that's where it was really fun. I'm going to get sidebar action here. It was really fun writing that piece with you because the more in depth we got, the more I was like, there's a road here that makes some real fun sense for the long-term haul.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, we stressed so many times. We're like, it's tough because you want to make Dame happy, but you're in a awesome position right now for the future. Because whoever you're getting, you're putting along Shaden Sharp to start the revolution. And then I think at 23, you could get a really good piece. So, yeah, if you got Najee there, I mean, I have a good feeling that Portland Trailblazers front office might have some good intel with Barcelona. So, shout out Schmitz. But that's a good landing spot. We just rattled off 5 straight that I think all would be very smitten on Najee. And this is a super raw, very hardworking, very high motor, unbelievably talented big that I think is going to get to a point in this draft where every team is going to be literally foaming at the mouth with the idea of like, we can bring him in and put him behind our starter and let him develop while also playing him rotation minutes. So, yeah, I like it. Give me Rupert thoughts. Where could you see him going? Muted, Metcalf.
Oh my God, rookie move.
It's okay.
That might be a first.
39 minutes.
God. No, we'll leave it in. Show my ignorance, my lack of professionalism.
No.
I like him in Portland at 23. I like him in Sacramento, Memphis. I think those make a lot of sense. Let's say Utah doesn't take a swing on Coulibaly and Rupert is there at 28. I think that's really interesting too. What about you?
Like him at Utah a lot. Like him at Indiana. I know that would have to kind of figure some stuff out, but maybe Sacramento takes them and they just say Davion Mitchell and Rupert go ruin lives. I still think Portland, for the same reasons we just talked about, I think Portland at 23 makes a ton of sense. Who knows? I don't know. I just think there's going to be, that's the range also where I could see a team trying to go up to get him as kind of like a a boost of defense on your rotation, like a playoff team. That's like, we don't need a lot of pieces, but maybe
Like Phoenix trades back into the first round.
Milwaukee, Phoenix, Denver. Denver just got another second-round pick,
God,
and
you're
that
just throwing Repair and Peyton Watson out at the same time with Christian Brown.
I'm just saying, like that's where you start looking real smart. That's where you keep adding some really nasty pieces. So, yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Let's move on to finalizing the green room, but first let's take our last break. All right, Rucker, it is the most magical club in the sports world. It is
I love it.
No Ceilings Green Room. We have 11 names locked in. Let's review those. Maybe someone needs to get booted at the last minute, maybe not. But those names are Victor Wembanyama, Juris Walker, Scoot Henderson, Cam Whitmore, Amen Thompson, Asar Thompson, Brandon Miller, Taylor Hendricks, Kobe Buffkin, Anthony Black, and Jordan Hawkins. For those unaware, with this incredibly prestigious club, there's only room for 14 of them. Only 14 people get in. It is not based on our lottery rankings. It is based on talent, upside, potential, prestige, vibes. A lot of vibes based stuff going on here. But only room for 14. So, Rucker, do any of those names get booted at the last second?
Give me the names you were on the fence about. We had a couple.
To get booted?
Yeah. Did we have a couple to get booted?
Last week we may have removed one, but no, I'm pretty good with all 11 of these. Are you?
Yeah. Who is our contenders? We had some names that were contending to get in.
So Keontae George, Cason Wallace, Jett Howard, Grady Dick, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Bilal Coulibaly, Derek Lively.
Coulibaly, I'm a no on. I think he's got a terrible fake. He can't get in. He keeps going to new fake ID people, can't get in.
Okay.
And by now he's trying to wear disguises. The bouncer's good. James Najee's out there bouncing. He can't get in. Also, I have to give a shout out. We had a fan on YouTube literally comment about the green room. He made a suggestion. I absolutely agreed. We had another fan DM us and said, when are you guys doing the green room episode? I absolutely love it. It's awesome. I love getting those messages. That makes my entire week. So my nomination for you, Mr. Metcalf, to enter the green room is Cason Wallace.
Okay. Give me the pitch.
Vibes. Very good vibes. I think Cason's, story is he's one of those guys that I have to give a shout out to the fan. He said Cason would have great feet. He'd be tearing it up on the dance floor, which I agree with. He's quick slider. Probably does a couple electric slides out there, maybe busts out a moonwalk. Good feet. It's always fun. We've got a lot of big guys in the club. It's always fun to get kind of a smaller guy too. Yeah. That's probably going to be the life of the party. I think Cason's earned it. He's a hard worker on both sides of the floor. So everyone knows he's, high energy, high character. I don't think he's low risk. We're not going to have to worry about Cason Wallace getting in a bar fight, but he's ready if he needs to. If one of his friends is going to get into some action, Cason's going to step up. He doesn't care how big he is.
I mean, he'll be 3 steps ahead of that and cut that off before he gets to that standpoint. So
exactly. So he's analyzing the situation before it even happens. And then, if it gets really out of hand, he's got really quick hands, so he can, hold people back or, prevent action. So I think that's an easy one. I'm shocked we didn't have him in before. I feel bad about it.
He was mentioned.
Okay. So he was in line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Cason in. That gets us at 12.
It does.
We've got 2 more guys to go.
All right. I'm going to throw out Derek Lively. And my reasoning for it.
Well, who's our bigs in here? We don't have a big. No. We have Juris is eating everyone, but we need a tall, lanky guy.
Besides Victor.
Yeah, but Victor might also have his own booth.
He's just an alien. He has the rooftop reserved out for Okay, so my case for Derek Lively is he knows how to turn it around. If the night's going poorly, he knows how to turn the tides and get things going back to where what the expectations were. He rolls with the punches. He doesn't try to do more than what's necessary. He knows his role and he makes the best out of his situation. And I think in this, he provides a little size. He provides a little differentiation based on everyone else who's in here. He shows that you don't just have to be a wing to be part of this club. You don't just have to be a primary ball handler. You can do the dirty work. You can, exceed the where expectations dropped off. You can come back in, you can build back up and have an incredible time.
I think that's a good one because we also Victor can't be the tall, skinny guy. No, here's actually a problem. How many good groups of, party animals do you see with two tall, lanky guys? Is it a one fedora per group? Is this a one tall, lanky guy per group?
No, it's a big club. We got multiple stories here. It's not like they're just awkwardly sitting at the end of the bar, just staring at each other. We're not at our local dive bar. We're at the No Ceilings Green Room. I mean,
I think Lively's ability to adjust to whatever environment or situation is going on, as we just saw at Duke, came in with all this hype, got humbled, made the best of it. So he's shown that even if the night, like you said, is going poor, he can pivot.
Yeah, he's not down and out. He's not Irish exiting and getting the first Uber home. He's buying around for the crew. He's picking the right songs on the jukebox. He's getting the flow back to where it needs to be.
Okay. I'll let that one go. That one's a good one. All right. Derek Lively, I'm voting in. Are you in?
Love it.
All right.
All right. One more spot.
So we got one more. Buffkin is in?
Buffkin is in.
Buffkin, that would have been a tough one because I would have been like, we have a lot of guards. I don't know.
No, I surprised you last week with him. So do you think Buffkin should be out?
No. Ashiki should be in. So give me the other. I need to get a little creative with the.
Okay, so
Chris Murray would be a fun, just out of nowhere one because everyone. But I also think Chris is probably the guy that leaves early. Chris is a very early Irish exit guy, so we can't
Chris
have that in here.
I have a meeting in the morning. I need to go home. No offense, Chris. I'm sure you're a delight.
No, yeah, I'm sure he's great. Najee, Chris and his brother are literally like playing video games, or they worked out at the gym and they went home.
They're better for like a barbecue.
Yeah, that would be top of the list for a barbecue. Gigi,
it's too young.
Too young. Him and Koulibaly keep going to the same ID guy. They got to find somebody else. I love Colby Jones. I don't think he's gonna get in.
I don't think so.
He's not making the list. He's in line, probably at the end of the line. Grady Dick, we need to have a conversation. This is not a white thing. It is a little, but this is not a white thing. See, Grady Dick, I feel like is a goofball. I've seen his social media stuff. It's hilarious.
Okay.
He also might be a liability. He might be a high alert. He might be, eye in the sky. When you've been red flagged. Shout out Ocean's 11. So like every camera is going to be watching him because they're just concerned about Grady Dick because he's a wild card. But I also think he would set the club on fire. So he's in the conversation for me.
Okay.
I feel like Jalen Hood-Schifino is a weird dark horse candidate because he might just have some weird, mysterious vibes that also could be a party animal.
So he's like on the second floor in like the booth in the back, and everyone's like, "What's his deal?"
Probably. You're like, "Hey, that's someone. Who is that?" And then someone's like, "Oh."
And it's if you get over to that booth, it's either going to be the best night you've ever had, or you're gonna be like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah, or you're gonna wake up and be a different person. You're gonna have seen some stuff, and it might be for the better. You might need it, but Jafino also just seems like a guy that we need to discuss here. And then Jet, I like Jet a lot, but I don't know. I don't know about Jet. Are we worried about Juwan calling Jet? I hope people take this serious.
Okay, I'm gonna go a little further down the board.
No, that's what I want us to do. Good.
Skip over some names.
We could bring up AirPods.
What about
for
Marcus
the same
Sasser?
reason? Sasser would probably be a good wild card. AirPods would be for the same exact reasons I said Grady Dick. I think AirPods is in the conversation.
Wait. Oh, yeah. Okay.
No.
I'm gonna throw 3 names at you: Marcus Sasser, Jaime Jaquez, and Andre Jackson.
Andre Jackson, I think, is down the street at the disco club because of that afro. I think he's, listening to Bee Gees and Saturday Night Fever. I think he's a different type of beast.
Okay.
I also think he just absolute wild card would just be high motor inside the club. We don't know what. Some nights we have to get rid of him early. Some nights he's the reason why everyone's having fun.
So when the rave comes in, that's when he's getting there.
High
energy, just glow sticks, just dancing constantly.
He might be a guy that goes to multiple clubs in one night and then ends up in the green room. He got in right before James Najee rejected him. We're going deep on this episode. I'm really proud of it. Jaquez is a really good wild card because I feel like he's safe. He'd be probably a glue like guy.
The vibes would be immaculate. He'd be able to bounce from group to group, have his own group, just connecting people, kind of just raising the floor of the whole experience.
Yeah, he seems like he'd go from table to table. He'd be a connecting piece. That's a good wild card. This is a good one. Wow, that's a good one. Anybody else? Okay, we've got enough names. Anybody else? I think we're down to Jaime Jaquez, Grady Dick.
Okay, I think those are the 2 names. Where are you leaning?
Oh, man. The safe pick is Jaime, but I think the upside pick is Grady Dick. Grady's into, he's a TikTok guy.
Yeah, so describe his humor or his social media, because I don't keep. I'm old.
I mean, I've got to find it. You ramble a little bit. Talk about Grady Dick. Where do you think he's going to end up? Do you think he's going to Orlando?
Oh, so pivoting to back to actual basketball.
Well, just let me find it. I had some good examples.
I think Orlando at 11 makes almost too much sense. Just the size, the shooting, the ability to connective passing, all that kind of stuff makes a ton of sense. Dallas a ton kind of does too, but I think there are better options for them there. It also wouldn't stun me if he kind of fell a little bit and was there at 16 for Utah, or I feel like he's another one of these guys where feelings on him across the league are a little mixed, and that the draft Twitter might be a little higher on him than the league is. And if he was there at 19 for Golden State, that would be just highway robbery. I think that'd be an incredible landing spot for both parties.
And that's another guy you hear wide range. I think Vicini even wrote about it today in his mock. It was a nice little breadcrumb. It doesn't surprise me because I think he's going to be one of those fit dependent guys. So Grady's Instagram, he had a big game at the beginning of the year. The University Daily Kansan had a title that I used in my artwork for No Ceilings of big energy, and then the middle of that is just a picture of Grady Dick, so you can probably connect the dots. And then Grady had a post where it was him dunking against Indiana, and the caption was, "Who's your daddy?" So I mean, that's pretty funny. I think he's one of those guys that's kind of a goofball but locker room guy. Everyone probably likes Grady Dick, and then when he needs to be, he's kind of he knows how to be a jerk in a good way to back up his friends. So that's my sales pitch for Grady. I think he's a wild card, but if the green room's going to thrive, we need Grady Dick in there. Also, the unbelievable amount of inappropriate jokes will probably make the whole group laugh. So we have to have that. And I'm just pointing out obvious.
I think I'm still leaning Hawkes. Here I'm sending you a message right now. Look at this hair. I just DM'd you. Look at that flow. You're
On
telling me
air
that
DM.
yeah,
I mean, he has great hair.
it's
It
incredible.
looks like White Goodman's.
You know,
Okay, fine. Let's go
he's
Hawkes.
also, Mr. Beast, one of YouTube's biggest creators. There's a picture of him partying on his yacht.
That's a good point. That's a really good. Okay, you sold me. All right, we're gonna go with Hawkes. I tried to go with Grady, but we're gonna go with Hawkes. For what it's worth, I've heard he's been dominating workouts.
He's another guy that top 25 makes a lot of sense.
That was my one of my mild takes was Hawkes goes first round, but now I feel like it's kind of gonna happen.
Okay, so
all right.
Green Room, Victor, Jarris Walker, Scoot, Cam Whitmore, Amen Thompson, Asar Thompson, Brandon Miller, Taylor Hendricks, Kobe Buffkin, Anthony Black, Jordan Hawkins, Kason Wallace, Derek Lively, Jaime Hawkes. How we feel?
Yeah, it's a good list. It's a good list. I'm proud of that list. I think, it's been a long year putting that together. I'm proud of everyone that's participated with us. I know I'm going to try. I've tried to make a graphic for it. Absolutely hated what I was making. So I was like, I need to come back. Yeah, I hate that. So I need to come back and give it another whirl. So maybe I'll try to do that when we post this up. But I think that's a good list, And we have to mention that Najee has been hired as our bouncer. So yes. That might be a fun thing we move forward with is someone's got to be the bouncer. Who's the honorary bouncer? Good list. Okay.
All right.
Is it time?
Let's
mail time.
Let's wrap up with a mailbag. I'm just gonna let you take over, and because you have all of the questions in your notifications, so your time to shine.
All right, we have a lot of them. Let me find these bad boys real quick. Here we go. Jacob Larray. Sorry if I said your name wrong, Jacob. I appreciate the support. Throughout the past couple drafts, 2 to 3 of the players picked in the top 10 bust. Who can you see being that in this class? Metcalf, you are up.
All right, so just first, just gonna push back a little bit on the wording of the question because I think you and I both kind of hold to the rule of gotta give these guys 3 years. So I'm not sure I would necessarily say that any of the ones in these last couple drafts have busted yet, but I get the point of the question. I digress.
Let me translate. We're still buying Johnny Davis stock. There's your translation.
Oh boy. I mean, my go-to just has to be one of the Thompson twins.
It's tough. I mean, I feel like that was bait. So thank you, Jacob. I feel like you really set us up for that one. No. Yep.
I like Koulibaly a lot less if he goes outside of the top 10 than if he goes in the top 10. Cam Whitmore.
If I'm not talking about the Thompsons, Whitmore is the biggest
boomer
reward,
bust, I think.
Reward. Yeah, I think he's either gonna explode or we're gonna look down the road and be like, it just didn't live up to the potential. But I think there's a better chance of him exploding and being like a guy that's gonna be a really good piece.
So do I, for what it's worth. I mean, he's 5th on my board, but if he ended up turning out to be this draft's Derek Williams, would it totally floor you?
No.
Okay.
But I think he's got way more tools than D Will had.
Yeah, same.
And I watched D Will in person a bunch. So bear down. Draft Fanatics hit us with like 5 different ones, which I absolutely love when that happens. So always good to hear. What were your biggest draft blunders, the mistakes, and guys you were most wrong on? I've said this before, but SGA, I had him in my top 20, thought he was going to be a guard that just was really solid, played a long time in the NBA. I just didn't see the star upside. So that's one that always really pisses me off and makes me loathe scouting Kentucky guards because they always come back to bite me. Franz Wagner, I had the same vibes. I think I got married to his tournament play. He really struggled, and I had him, I think, around 20. That was just tough for me. I was like, kind of the same thing with what we've been saying earlier. It was one of those, like, I think if you get him in a certain range, I'm really excited. But when he got that top 10 buzz, I was like, oh man, I don't know. And I think that taught me to not, and I had known that before, but I think that was a really nice refresher of like, don't get married to one bad game. Don't take in a bad stretch of games and let that ruin your entire evaluation. So that's why I've always been like, go back, start over. And I feel like with Franz, that was one guy I didn't do it, and I paid the price with my evaluation.
Kyrie Thomas is always my go-to. I loved him coming out of Creighton. I had him in the lottery. Whoops. Denny
I thought
is
he was
not.
going to be good. I thought he was going to be good. I had him late first.
Yeah.
I liked him.
Denny is a guy that is obviously the biggest overrated one that I did. But I did think he was going to be a good defender, and here we are. I still like the kind of upside for him, but my ranking, I just way overthought that whole class with the extra 2 months that we had. And then the other one that I didn't like, but I kind of let other people talk me back into him, was Kevin Knox, who I ended up putting back in the lottery, even though I didn't get it at all. And, you're talking about lessons learned. What I took from that was be confident in your eval. It's not always right. Most often it's wrong, but stick to what you think, because there are reasons behind it, and you'd rather be wrong on your own account than because of what other people influenced you to do.
Draft Fanatics has another fun one, and I'm going to put you on the spot. Which no ceilings draft analyst would go first in an analyst mock draft?
I think it'd be Maxwell.
Yeah.
Allegedly, according to him, he can still dunk. So, I have yet to meet Maxwell in person, but I think he has good size. I think he can play.
I think it's an analyst mock draft.
Analyst.
If we were talking basketball, Maxwell's going first, because Maxwell's a big dude.
That's how I read that one. Okay.
Allegedly, Maxwell's a big dude. I've not met the man in person, so I need Maxwell to get on that. Figure it out.
Okay, so we're doing this as who is the best analyst?
We're putting you on the spot.
Well, fuck you.
It's like, well, that's a heavy question, but it might turn the tides a little bit. You could say no comment.
No, I honestly don't have one, because I just got done saying I don't let people, or I try not to let people influence me. But I think how different we all kind of value different archetypes and view different players, and how some of us value really deep sleepers more than others. I just constantly learn a little bit of something from everyone in the group. So I don't have one. I'll be selfish and say myself.
Yeah, I'll do the same.
Cop out.
No, I'll cop out and say the same. It's been badass the last 2 years working with this entire team. I'm so proud. I don't say it enough to all the guys, but and Paige has been a superstar for us this year. But it's awesome. Every day I learn something from everyone, and it's challenging. Mm-hmm. It pisses me off sometimes. Like I love all of you guys, but you guys piss me off sometimes because you're passionate about something, and then it makes me watch someone completely different. And it's cool because you turn the page and you literally have to kind of challenge yourself to be like, what are they seeing that I'm not seeing? And that's why I've loved it. And I think that's what has been so great about us is everyone has their own vision. Everyone has their own flavor, and you kind of try to pick everyone's mind. So I'll cop out and say the same. I love everyone. ELE. Blah, 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 blah. What's the biggest lesson? Shout out NBA Draft House. What's the biggest lesson you learned from last class, and how have you applied it to your process in this class?
Oh boy.
I know we're going to get some thinkers, so everyone just bear with us for a second. I have to pull up the draft.
Yeah.
So I can I can be honest and tell you right away.
All right, let me pull up my big board from last year too.
It's always funny to, you know what? I'll give a little bit of a. I don't mean this answer to come off arrogant, but it might. I think going with your gut. At the end of the day, you get to a point where you can't watch any more film and you cannot keep overthinking something. And I'm one of those, I will do everything in my power, as people can see on YouTube, my eyes. I will get up at film and watch it at 2 a.m. I don't care. Like, everyone knows I love coffee. I will do everything I can to sway my opinion about a prospect. But sometime you have to get to a point where you just got to make a call. And if you do everything in your power and your gut is telling you, I'm not in, and I think you got to go with your gut. And then you could go back, and if you miss, you learn. I just brought it up with Franz. I got to the point where everyone was high on him, and I went with my gut, and I was like, I don't know. And I learned from that, you got to go back and double down, go through the whole year if you almost have to. And I feel like that's what I've learned. I think the Franz lesson was my biggest wake-up call of, you can rewatch film, you can take the whole year. Just because a bad month, don't let it ruin a whole great year. And I think that's important too. So
yeah, and I think one for me is, I got two. Be willing to be, or don't let short-term results really influence your rankings for the draft. What I mean by that is, I had AJ Griffin 7. I know a lot of people had him high too. I had Max Christie 17, Ochai Baji 16, Jane Hardy 19. Not all of these are perfect, but these are all guys who showed at least a couple flashes here and there. They didn't have big minutes on necessarily in their rookie year. AJ Griffin out of that grouping probably had the biggest, Johnny Davis too. But I think long run, what some of those guys showed is that there's a lot there. And just because they don't immediately produce doesn't mean that there isn't some sort of plan in place for them to get there in year 2 or 3. And that down the road, these are career, projections with these rankings, and that you can't let year 1 results completely skew and alter what you're thinking. Another thing from that class is the value of high school tape. Um, guys like Paulo, even. I mean, he was absurd in high school, and AJ Griffin was a monster. Shaden Sharp, who we had to rely a lot on that. Jalen Duren, he was incredible in high school, and that Memphis team was unwatchable. It was horrible. And all those guys are really starting to figure stuff out because, in those high school years, all of these guys have a bigger role. They're allowed to do more and have a little more freedom, creativity, a longer leash than they do in college. And a lot of the time, if you're going to take them top 10, that's what you're hoping that they kind of do in the pros. So I think that while the product of high school basketball can be rough, I think there's a lot that you can really learn from it.
amen. I like that. Gosh, some of these guys, I'm trying to get to every question, but some of these are really in-depth questions. So I'm trying not to have people just listening to us for 12 minutes.
No, I think those are good. We got time. That's our last one before the draft.
All right. Okay, fine.
Where do you have to get?
Tingus. Shout out Tingus. Pingus. I'm reading his username, folks. Don't think I'm immature. Good question. With the amount of teams reported to be trying to trade out of the lottery, is this draft getting overrated in your opinion? No, I don't think so. I think there's a range in which there's blood in the water. And I think there's a range in which people want to go back to get better value. And there's a range in which teams behind them might want to come up and say, we don't care if we're reaching, we're going to get our guy. And I think that's just, teams are always trying to, there's a lot of smoke this upcoming week. It starts about right now. We're starting to get the heavy smoke pushing in. So just buckle up. I mean, Monday, there's going to be stuff on the internet and everyone's going to be like, what? And it's like, there's a reason why it's all coming out on Monday. And be careful. Be careful. But I think there's just always teams are trying to find a way to get a better part of a deal. It's a poker table now.
Yeah, I feel
to get the better hand.
I feel like we go through this every year.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is some teams who might want to trade back and pick up multiple assets are trying to leak stuff and build or just raise the price of what they have by leaking that kind of stuff. So I don't think it's anything abnormal.
I got a good project coming out next week, and it'll be good. Fans can see a lot of movement when it comes to the draft and stuff. So be on the lookout for that for the timeline. Thunder Chats, shout out, Dylan. Is there a name the Thunder could pick at 12 that will have you as shocked as Giddy at 6? He says, great stuff, all your guys. Appreciate your grind. Emoji.
I didn't think Giddy was that shocking. Did you? But I guess that's not the point of the question.
No, I thought Giddy was a little shocking just because it was like we thought he was I thought he was going was that the year with New Orleans at 10? Yeah, that was the year New Orleans picked 10. They picked Zaire. I thought he was going to go down there. Yeah, I think I was like, okay, it makes sense, but I just wasn't ready for it. So it was a little bit of a shocker. I think I laughed and I was like, classic Presti. What's the name?
All right, a couple for me. Max Lewis, James Najee. You've seen some Derek Lively buzz there, but if they went with I guess that wouldn't completely floor me. I don't like them taking the center necessarily there, but if they instead went like the James Najee route, that would really shock me.
I'm trying to think, and people are gonna be like, "What?" And I'm like, we're trying to think of just like the whoa, like that reaction.
Right. Like if they went like with another project wing, if they went like Max Lewis instead of Koulibaly, that'd be like, oh, okay, wow.
Jet. Do we have your attention, Thunder fans? Remember us? No.
So I just think at that pick 12, it's kind of harder. That's a range where stuff always gets wonky, and I think it's a little harder to be completely floored by it because there are a dozen guys I could see going there.
A lot of guys I think make sense there. I still think Jordan Hawkins is the name to be careful about.
You know who would really surprise me at that spot?
Tariq?
Tristan Vukcevic. That one would floor me.
I might turn off the draft. Okay, let me find another good question. Trevor, I got to give Trevor a shout out. Metcalf might love this one. He says, let's get weird. How many of the last 10 drafts would Scoot have gone number 1 overall in, based on your guys' opinion? So everyone needs to buckle down with us because now Metcalf's going to go down the board, or I'll pull up all the drafts so we can do this. Okay. Gosh, you guys are really just screwing on my project.
I got him. You ready?
So 21, we had Cade Cunningham go first. Would you have him over Scoot?
That one would be tough.
That one would be really tough. I'd probably have a 1A, 1B. I'd probably flip a coin the day of the draft before submitting my big board. Scoot or Anthony Edwards?
So it's tough. So we're doing this just based on what the prospects showed, right? Like we have to remove like hindsight, right?
Yeah,
like I can't factor in that Anthony Edwards has become
my Lord. You have to go as a prospect.
Okay,
as a prospect,
I would have Scoot over Ant.
I had Ant number 1. I would have Scoot over Ant.
Okay, Scooter Zion.
Problem is that's really tough because I didn't have the balls to do it, but I wanted to put the guy who went second first.
I think I'll go Scoot over Zion, which is probably
Scoot over Morant. I guess so.
Morant at 2.
Okay, that one's tough. That's a tough one. Okay, I probably would have still had Zion 1. Zion, if he was healthy. What a month for Zion, huh? Okay, sorry.
All right, so next.
Scoot over DeAndre Ayton, yes.
Yeah, I had
but
Luka. The question is, I had Luka over Ayton. Scoot over Luka. I would say no.
no. I don't
Okay.
know if Luka's getting Scoot over Fultz. That's where things get really fun.
Yeah, Scoot.
I don't know. Fultz. People forget Fultz was a bad
Yeah, he was awesome.
man in college.
He was awesome.
Like, he had a legit shot from outside. He put up the numbers. He was a beast.
Mm-hmm.
That one would be really tough for me. Scoot over Ben Simmons would be the easiest one for me of all time.
Scoot.
I just hated having Ben Simmons won. I'm sorry. I Scoot over Karl Anthony Towns.
Scoot.
I would have had, that would have been tough, but I would have Scoot. Scoot over Andrew Wiggins, yes. I'll just end it with
Big
2013. Anthony Bennett or Scoot.
Sorry, Anthony Bennett, but
okay.
Yeah, Scoot.
We'll stop it there. The next year was Anthony Davis. I don't think we want to go down that rabbit hole right now. So
no.
I probably would have had Ant.
Okay.
I mean, he had
probably. He was
one
insane.
of the best defensive prospects ever.
Insane.
He was insane. Hold, please. We're at a hold. Draft Fanatics, just while I look for another one, said, who is getting left painfully sitting in the green room, not the no ceilings one, as pick after pick is selected, and they just have to awkwardly sit there.
Oh boy. Let me try and pull up who's been invited. I think there's been like 20 names.
The problem is all the guys that have been invited, the first two lists of names have not surprised me.
Okay. So
I'm going to rattle them off for everyone listening that hasn't seen it.
Yeah, so Victor Wembanyama, no. Brandon Miller, no. Scoot Henderson, no. Amen Thompson, no. Asar Thompson, no. Cam Whitmore, no. Jarris Walker, no. Anthony Black, no. Taylor Hendricks, no. Grady Dick, maybe. So those were the first 10 names invited, then followed by Bilal Coulibaly, maybe. Cason Wallace, I don't think so. Nick Smith. A couple weeks ago, I would have said yes, but
yeah, I don't think I'm saying yes anymore.
Derek Lively, I don't think so. Kobe Buffkin, I don't think so. Jalen Hood-Schifino, maybe. Jet Howard, maybe. Jordan Hawkins, I don't think so. Keontae George. I would lean maybe Grady Dick, Keontae George, Jet Howard. Jalen Hood-Schifino would be my top names.
I think Hood-Schifino is going to go earlier. I think he's safe. I think Keontae is the name.
Okay.
And I have him in my top 10. I love Keontae.
Same.
But I have weird vibes.
Yeah. Okay.
Weird vibes. Any surprising intel? I can't probably say that on the air, so we're going to pass that. Sorry, Tingus, I already answered one of your questions. Parker, who is a prospect currently going in a lot of mock drafts that you could see having a really good career and going, how did we miss on this guy?
Julian Strawther.
Sensabaugh.
TJD.
Strawther is Sensabaugh. TJD.
Are we talking like out of the first round or just
I think
like
just in general? You think he's got a
shot
shot to be?
And it wouldn't be totally shocking if like Derek turned into the player that we thought he would. Kind of similar thing with Nick Smith, but
Colby Jones and a wild one, Keontae Johnson. I like Keontae. I think he's going to get drafted late because of the history, but I think he can play.
Yeah.
He seems like a guy that just figures out a way to stick in the NBA for a long time. Oh, here we go. We got a good one. Cade. Who's a player that you have yet to come around on and why?
And
then we'll do like one more.
Besides the Thompson twins, Leonard Miller, we've talked about these three enough. I'm gonna say Jordan Walsh. I've seen a lot of people have him like first round. I can't get there. I kind of wish he would have gone back, but I think he's an incredible defender. I think there's some intriguing interior passing stuff. I don't think I would be surprised if the shot gets there. I just don't get it right now with him.
Probably there with you. Yeah, I think that's my pick. I think Jordan Walsh is one I get everyone's idea of him. And I'm not there for as a first round guy. I think if you got him in the second round with potentially being patient and finding a really good piece moving forward, great. I'm not buying the shot coming around. So you're going to have to draft him with the focus of this is our defensive specialist, maybe. Like a playoff team might be like, we're going to draft Jordan Walsh, and in a playoff series, he's going to go be the Lou Dort.
Yeah.
And, something like that. Another name I haven't come around on. I can't get around Noah Clowney. I'll admit it.
Where do you have him?
Make me really.
So I'm kind of in the same boat.
I'm at 42.
I have him at 36. So kind of same general range.
I think everyone's married to the idea.
Yeah.
I think he might go first round. I'm not there. That's my gut.
I can't get there, but
I've watched it. I'm sticking with my gut. I think he's raw. I think he's further away. I think everyone's married to this idea that he can become this versatile Al Horford light type of player. I'm not there. I think there's way more rawness than it is. Now, same story I just said to Jordan Walsh. He looks like he's got a pretty good shot from outside. He looks like he's got a lot of tools I could work with. It's just he needs somewhere to go be patient. But that's also a guy, if I had multiple picks and I was picking 36 and I liked the long-term project and I have security, I'd probably go jump all over Noah Clowney. But I'm not there with him as a top 20. And I see him 20th and I was like,
no,
Ricky projected him in our mock draft, Ricky O'Donnell. And I was like, hey, makes sense if you're in. If you're in, I get it. But I'm not there. So
yeah.
Maybe I look stupid on that one, but when in doubt, stick to your gut. Metcalf, I think there's some heavy one. I'm trying. Okay, how about let's do
2 more.
Oh, 2 more. Daniel. Favorite fits for Orlando at 6 and 11. Also, what's one NBA player you're not quitting? I don't think we can say Johnny Davis because he's going to be a sophomore.
So they have to be outside 3 years.
Ooh, outside 3 years. I need to get the past drafts back up. One NBA player I'm not quitting. We'll start with Orlando. Who do you like at 6 and 11? Give me your dream.
Okay. Taylor Hendricks and Grady Dick or Jordan Hawkins. I think those would be kind of. I think if they could get Taylor Hendricks at 6, that would be awesome. I have Jarris over him, but in terms of immediate fit, I just think Hendricks' floor spacing would be a little more beneficial right away.
I would say Asar and Jordan Hawkins, or I would very happily, if they love Taylor Hendricks, I would love that fit too. But I like Asar.
Yeah, I'm just lower on Asar than you.
Yeah, I love Asar there. I think just going there, that's my upside swing at 6 and then 11.
And if they could get him at 11 instead, I'd be all for that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you could get Victor at 5, you'd be all for that too.
Easy. Okay. So not
giving up on.
Player I'm gonna go with 2 guys who I was really high on coming out, who are eerily similar players at this point. Trey Mann and Kobe White.
I was never comfortable on Kobe White, even though I had him like in my top 10. I never felt comfortable on that. I feel like Malik Monk just had the resurrection year, so I can't really say that. I'm trying to go through. I'm one of those, like, I don't care about admitting guys I was low on, so I'm going through drafts just to see names.
I guess we can target some guys who were recently drafted because Johnny Davis would fall into that camp for me.
Okay, yeah, well, okay, fine. I'll go back to like 21. What was our first year for No Snakes is 22. Let's go back. Who disappointed last year?
Max Christie, he didn't get much opportunity. I think he's going to be really good. Did you see him during the playoffs? He looked huge.
Yeah, I did. I'm not worried about him. He's gonna be fine. Peyton Watson, I think, is gonna blow up next year.
And
that's my guy.
From what I've heard, Denver loves him.
Yes, so that's my guy. I'm all in on that. I think he's gonna explode. So I'll say if we're going last year, I would say Peyton Watson, Dalen Terry. I think probably is gonna have a big off season. Guys, I'm really pumped if they're playing at Summer League, which they should. I'll give a wild card. Besides Jaden Hardy, I'll give a wild card that no one's thinking of. EJ Liddell.
Oh, yep. Absolutely.
That's my guy.
We never found out why he fell so far, did we?
Think medicals? And then he got hurt? I don't know. Don't quote me on that. That's something that's going to be a Google search after. So
that was so weird.
I'm excited.
I loved him.
Summer League this year, we'll be there. Summer League this year is going to have vicious rosters. It's going to be so awesome. I'm pumped. Even if Victor doesn't play, which sounds like he's not going to. But
shouldn't be surprising.
I got sidetracked. I lost the damn. Oh, here we go. I lost the question.
Yeah, let's just do one more.
One more. Last one. It's tough to say goodbye. Okay. Man, I'm trying to go through these.
Okay, you're worse than me when I try and pick a restaurant.
No, well, there's just some tough ones. There's a deep thought one.
Go with what you feel.
Shout out Lenny. Lenny's got a question. It's a 3-parter. If you made a pie chart with 3 slices that lead to early success in the NBA, how would you split it up? 1, player talent. 2, work ethic. 3, organization/situation drafted to.
So I feel like these are always kind of a shifting scale. I would say the initial would be 50% talent, 40% work ethic, 10% landing. But if as you go down the draft board and that talent piece starts to get smaller, then I think the fit piece gets bigger. So I think it kind of depends on the player and how talented they are. Because I think at the end of the day, talent's going to win out. But if you only have a limited amount of talent, then your work ethic and your landing spot are really going to have to come into play. Because if the work ethic's insane, I think the guy's going to figure it out eventually. If the fit is perfect from the start, that guy's going to hit the ground running a lot quicker than some other people.
It definitely, that chart changes throughout the draft. I like how you put that, because I think the fit percentage continues to climb. You could argue that the work ethic could be number 1.
Yeah.
Guys like Jimmy Butler went later in the draft. I think he went 30th off the top of my head. And he had the work ethic to outplay that positioning. Guys have the limitations that go later that figured out. Nikola Jokic, work ethic. I think you have to have work ethic to potentially be great. So
yes,
talent
to be great.
Early
to make
success,
a career, talent can overcome that.
Yes, early success, you can get by on talent, because I think everyone can get a little bit of fool's gold if you come out and you're just super talented and you're putting up numbers right away. But I think the work ethic makes you a great player when you don't let it go to your head and you keep grinding and you keep looking down the road. You don't get comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And then organization, I think that would be third, obviously, because you could eventually move on to another organization if you don't like it, but you also got to get in a good landing spot where you can have early success and have the ability to play more. And, that's why Jalen Williams with the Thunder last year ended up in a spot that allowed him to play early on. So he had immediate success.
Also, out of those three things, there's only one that players can control, and that's your work ethic. You can't control where you land. You can't control what gifts you were born with. All you can control is how hard you work and how much you study film and, put in the work to improve in the off season and during practice and all of that. So I it's tough to discount that one at all.
No, that's a good one. I like that. Thanks for everyone for all the questions. I hope I got to everyone. If I missed some, DM me. I'll give you an answer, but that's all I got.
All right, Rucker, plug away.
We're going to have a draft show. Finalizing some details. Be on the look. We'll have some announcements. Probably going to be it's going to be a crazy week. Everyone listening to this, be on the look. We're going to have a lot of stuff pumping out. We got our final big board. We have our final mock drafts. I think we're going to probably have something fun up our sleeves. Be on the look for YouTube. And then we will do something for the draft. So Metcalf, and for everyone listening, just because it's the drafts, we're still going to be cooking. We got plenty of stuff coming up. We got FIBA, we got Olympic, or Team USA crap. We got everything. So we got a full summer. Basketball never stops. But Metcalf, it's been an unbelievable year. Thank you. I look forward to Thursdays all the time to record these. So thanks for dealing with my madness and psychoness, and appreciate the grind. I know it's been tough for both of us this year, but if only people knew the behind the scenes stuff. But I'm pumped for the future. I know we're only going up, and thank you for everything.
Incredible year 2. Thank you, everyone. Like Rucker said, not done yet. Still got all of draft week. Plenty of pods, plenty of written pieces, live shows, live mock drafts. It's going to be a heck of a week, and we got so much throughout the summer. So, just because the draft's not over, it doesn't mean we're going away. But you can follow all of that across our socials at No Ceilings NBA. You can find our merchandise, including our draft guide, at noceilingsnba.bigcartel.com. You can find all of our written work at noceilingsnba.com and follow us on YouTube at No Ceilings TV. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and a 5-star rating. Till next time, see ya.